Hello guys, and welcome to Safe Poultry. It's been some time since we did a video. It's a record time of 2 months since we did a video in any of our platform. And in this video, we'll be explaining why we have been away and the challenges that we have been working silently to resolve in our farm. So, and if this is the kind of content that you are interested in, kindly consider subscribing, giving us thumbs up, and also following, sharing with your partners and loved one, anyone out there who would be interested to learn about poultry farm. So, it's been a while since we recorded a video. We have had some challenges, have had teething issues with our farm. So in this video, I'll be sharing the challenges that we have been facing in the farm, some of the resolutions that we have been able to come up with, and also future mitigation that will enable us not to get to the point that we have been for the few months. It's around 2 months. So most creators and most guys that you find online will not be honest and will not share challenges. It's always the merry part that is shared online. But in this channel, we give things raw as they are to make sure that you are well informed as you start your poultry farm, and to other poultry farmers who have these challenges to know that it's challenges, it's normal to face such challenges. This will ensure that you make the right decisions whether to start a farm or whether not to venture in farming, specifically poultry farming. So we have had challenges. One of the challenges that we faced is last video I posted a video after we picked 1,200 day-old chicks. That was among my last videos that we posted. And this is where the rain started beating us. Number one, the farm have never picked a bigger bunch than this. This was the first biggest bunch in the farm. So normally we pick 600, 500 birds. We bring them to, when they are mature, they start laying, we pick another batch. But this time around, we picked a bigger bunch, 1,200. And one of the biggest issues that we faced was electricity. Electricity ran away immediately the birds came into sight. That night, we never had electricity in the farm. So an electrical pole fell around the farm, and the power provider, in this case is KPLC, Kenya Power Lighting Company, came to isolate and did the isolation, but left us with no electricity. So this is the same night I received the birds. So we went into crisis mode. I had bought some security lights for the farm, solar powered security light. So we had to use these lights for the night. I also had to rush. Lucky enough, I was in the farm. It was on a weekend, on a Saturday. Lucky enough, I was in the farm. I was able to rush, buy a new solar battery to compensate the solar security lights. So bad enough, we set up during the night. It's dangerous for day-old chicks not to have lights. So, but good enough, we were able to compensate, to have power within that first 1 week. So we were running on battery and then solar lights until we got now to some point. We thought that power will come within few days, but up to this point, it's been 2 months. In the farm, we don't have power. So how are we working to resolve this in long term? Number one, was able to acquire a generator, majorly because we were drilling a well, and also in the well drilling process, we needed electricity, at least to deepen the well. So we never had electricity. I had to cough some money, quite good money, to get a good generator that could power a submersible pump. That will come on issue number 2. But issue number 1 was power. So power affected cost also issue number 2. But power have been an issue. How are we working to resolve this? In the farm, we are working to go purely off-grid in everything that we do, that we can run without over-reliance of government services. Over-reliance of these services have led us to very bad situation, because number one, government as it is never rush to resolve issues. This major is because maybe they serve quite a number of customers. Number 2 is that government providers never treat us, and I mean us as people who use their services, either water or electricity or any other services in this case. Some cases is even hospital, some cases is even schools. So, but government do not treat its citizens as customers. So it treats you like dependents, people who beg for services. So I'm not here to rant about government. It's the way government operates, either this government or any other governments that in the future. That's how they have been operating. It's like citizens beg for services. This is not good for business. So we were caught off guard. So right now we are working to have off-grid system where we can have solars and batteries, and then we can have a compensation of the generator that I bought. I have to fix it somewhere so that I don't feel like my money got lost. Otherwise, that's what we are working on. And in fact, if you are good out there with the off-grid systems, you can share ideas. You can share an approach of a small scale farmer that I can build on. So I don't have the money to set up the whole system right now, but we can set up gradually. Like I can buy an inverter first, maybe a small battery, and maybe one solar or 2, and then something that can be scalable with time. So that's problem number 1 that we faced in the farm. Problem number 2 was water. So you can now tell where we are going. So we had no electricity, and then, worse enough, we had no water. This is the worst combination any poultry farmer can face, and we faced it. So also water ran away. We were over depending on government water, and it's within a very short period of time we had no water and we had no electricity. It's not like the farm is in a very remote area. No, I don't know how these things ended up running away at almost the same time. So we had to cough another good amount of money for oxens. Are they called oxens? Is the bulls. So to go get water in a stream nearby. So in the farm, we don't have a good means of transportation that we could have done it ourselves. So we had to contract some guys to be getting water. If you are familiar with poultry, it's that they take quite some water. So it was almost a daily activity, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap. So for a drum of water, we were coughing around 200 shillings. This is around $1 a day. And in a day, we were using almost 4-5. So this was quite some amount to get from the pocket on a daily basis. The other problem, this led to problem number 3. So problem number 2, lack of water, got us financially into the drains, considering that this is not the only activity that was running in the farm. We had other activities that were resource intensive. We were expanding the farm. And worse enough, problem number 3 came by. And problem number 3 is we got into very low production for that period. So this was highly contributed by contaminated water. Remember, we were paying very high amounts of money to get this water from the streams. However, this water was contaminated. It's from streams where we have people spraying pesticides. Are they called pesticides? Pesticides and fungicides. Fungicides. I think it's fungicides. Yeah, and the fertilizer, all of it is washed away into the farm, into the water, and then we take that water directly to our laying birds. So we got very low production that we have never ever experienced in the farm. So production was not entirely contributed to water, but partly contributed to water. The other thing that led to very low production in the farm was something that we had started experimenting on. If you follow our videos, you would have known that we had started formulating our own feeds, which was a very big success. I actually reported here that we had an increment of more than 5% production rate for our birds, which was commendable and good. We intended to progress with the same, however, I don't know what to say, but we went into deeps, the lowest of the lowest. So after trying to address the water problem, which we have, I can confidently say that we have resolved around 95%. So the only issue is electricity, but we have a working well. That's good news in the farm. However, we don't have electricity, so we have to rely on a generator. The generators to run and operate are also not that easy because of the fuel prices currently in the country are very high. So, however, we cannot run out of water. We have good amount of water. When I go to the farm, this is the first project that I will show you guys. But we had very low production in the farm because of our feed formulation. Something that I can't quite put a finger into because I was using the same formula, same raw materials. I don't know, and I can't tell up to date what happened, but I have my suspicions. So my suspicions is that we changed. Initially, we were buying maize locally from farmers, and this was working very well until one point where I can trace back to my records where production started going raw. There's a batch of maize that we bought from cereal sellers, people who sell cereals. I bought quite some amount, and from that point, production went low. I don't know whether it was coincident because I also introduced water the same week. So I can't quite separate between that batch of maize that I had bought and the water that we were getting from the stream. Also, worse enough, the company that I get the concentrate for also changed their formula. I had reached 1 week before that. So I had reached out to the company and asked them why they had changed the formula, why the formulation was different from the previous one. And they assured me that if I had changed the formulation also myself to match what they had shared, but production came a bit low. Not that low, like 2% reduction. So I asked them the reason for the change of the formula. They assured me that if I'm getting low production, then I should stick with the old formula, which I then went to the old formula, and then that week we changed water, and then we got a new batch of maize. So I can't quite figure. There is a lot, like 3 factors, which could have contributed to low production in the farm, which I can't isolate and the get what exactly contributed to those low productions. So another thing that I suspect that could have affected my production is I don't know which of those raw materials should not be kept for long, but it's just suspicions. It's just my suspicion. So I am suspecting that something, either soya or sunflower. Of course, lime ideally can, can stay for a long time. But I'm suspecting either soya, sunflower, or Poland. One of them should not be kept for long. I can't tell exactly what happened. I can't tell whether it's concentrate, water, but I've tried even with the changing the new to the water that I have in the borehole. Production just comes up, but not optimal production. However, when I go back to commercial feeds, my production shoots to the optimal level of production. So I'm wondering, it must be feeds, but the element in feeds, I can't quite pick it out. So this is a problem I have in farm, but for the losses that I have incurred, I'm not at liberty to try again with my whole flock. So I can't try that again. If I am ever formulating my feeds again, I'll approach it differently. I'll separate my flock and have one experimental batch that I can test with the feeds. So another resolution to avoid this from happening again is I'll be attending classes on how to formulate my own feed. This is a step that I skipped. So that's why I can't tell which raw material should not be kept for long, or how I should approach this process. So I literally went, picked the concentrate, read the formula, and used their formula. So that's what I'm paying for not paying school fees ideally. So it have costed me, but I'm taking it because I'm on the face of, I know uh, things were hard to get. Literally, I'm in the learning phase of how to keep a poultry farm. That's why I'm advising people, if you want to start this process, it's better you start with me, learn from my mistakes, and you can be good at it even better than me from learning from these mistakes which I share to everyone. So that's problem number 3. I'm losing count. So problem number 4 that happened in the farm is the well. So the problem with the well was workmanship. So there is a well that I had showcased before. So we had to drill well number 2. So there was nothing wrong with well number 1. It's only that the guy who was working on that well was getting into the farm very drunk and was unable, did shoddy work. It's a definition of shoddy work. People who don't have respect of other people's money. Guy went into the farm, did his own things, built a cave inside a well. It was shoddy work. But the well had some water. But I couldn't risk continuing drilling that well because used explosives which caved the well, one side of the well. I'll also show the well, so stick in the channel for that update. So he did. I got very poor workmanship. I had to send them away and get someone else and contract someone else. The second person I contracted was very expensive, but remember, was desperate. I was desperate. I was desperately looking for water, but his workmanship was top notch. So I had no problem paying good worker who respected work and timelines, because I was working on beating timelines. So each and every day, I was coughing some money from my pocket for water and also for drillers to drill that well. So financially, this crippled the farm. So I have no problem with that, because apart from the guy who drilled very bad well, because I understand that right now I'm trying to build infrastructures which will run the farm in the long term. So I'm not viewing the farm as a short-term plan, it's a long-term plan. So that well will end up paying for itself. So we in the farm will never buy water again. We'll never use government water unless otherwise. So this is a fallback plan to ensure that we can be able to run even without government water or government facilities. So this also was one of the problems in the farm, but we have overcome. We have a working well, have a submersible pump. We laid pipes. I think last time I had showcased the pipes, and we also laid cables to get electricity to our well is 160 meters away from the farm. So that's infrastructure that we had to set up to run the farm in the long run. So all these combined, one person, I was trying to record some videos. I knew YouTube and these other social media platform, consistency is key. But I'm one of those guys who cannot, who work in silence until you see the results. That's when you can be able to tell that I was working on something. I cannot be able to concept. I was unable literally to record a video. My mental health was in the drains, so to say. We had also the day-old chick. That's another problem. Maybe can add it on the list. Maybe problem number 5. Our day-old chicks that we had picked had also were overweight. Why they were overweight? All this is my fault. I had forgotten to update my farm guys on the quantities of feed they should have given these chicks. So we ended up giving same measurement of feeds in week 4 and up to week 6. We never increased the feeds as the so chicken feeds are increased on weekly basis until they get to week number 18, 19, 20, until they start laying. So in our case, I completely forgot to update the measurement to my farm guys. My farm guys kept asking me, what are the new measurement of feeds? So, and I used to forget. I had a lot of processing in my mind. Remember, all this I'm doing with my 9 to 5 work. So I never compromise my 9 to 5 work. So anything else that I'm supporting in the farm, I support it off hours. Like the way I'm doing right now. I'm recording a video, it's at night around 10. So we have, so I forgot completely and it got out of my mind. So to resolve this, I gave them the list of how they should measure feeds, a schedule of all the vaccines and when they should be taken. So I had to delegate some of these things to my farm guys. So at least for them, they can be able to see and measure the feeds and increment. So mine is to ensure that the feeds that they are giving for this week, I'm in copy of it, and I'm aware that they are giving this number of kgs per week. So the way I know whether they are giving the same amount or not, number one, is to constantly ask how much feeds, how many kgs are you giving today. Once I get the number, I confirm with my records and see that it's the same that is recommended on our books, on the feeds, on the dealers, the guy who provide us with feeds. So number 2 is I usually calculate the sacks of feeds that chicken will take, let's say, on the chick mash stage or the grower stage. So if I get a balance of sacks or calculate and see that we are behind, that we have more sacks or we have less sacks than expected, then I know either they are overfeeding, stealing, which is very rare. Actually, we have never had issues of stealing in the farm, apart from outsiders stealing in the farm. But feeds, we never have had such. So that's the way I of improvement for that. So what we did to get to the same expected weight of these chicks, we had to compensate the feeds that we missed to give these chicks to week number 7. So instead of giving the recommended feeds for week number 7, we had to increase the feeds so that we could match, we could get the chicks into that level. And good enough, the chicks now are week 9. The weight of week number 8 were according to the recommended weight of week number 8. So we give the 2 weeks constant and the weight is back to the expected weights. So this is also some learnings that I picked personally, that with different flocks, we have 3 flocks in the farm. If any of them is performing badly, it should not affect any other flock in the farm, because this is our biggest batch and it could have been affected by these other chicks who are bringing in a revenue. So that's what's up in the farm. So these are the challenges that sometimes poultry farmers face. They could be avoided, and they can be avoided. But some are unforeseen. And if you are out there planning to keep a farm or to do any kind of a serious business, have backup plans. Backup plans for your key resources, like your workers. Have BCPs for your workers, such that if any of your workers leaves their position, you won't go crumbling you won't go into panic mode. You'll just have the BCP acting on behalf of